Dear students, welcome to my lecture number 55 in the series of NPTEL lecture on farm machinery. Well, today I have brought to you the machines which are used for land drainage, land reclamation and state maintenance. Well, you may find that this is a machine, this is a lecture which particularly deals with the machines which are not exactly in the field to a great extent, but to a greater extent on reclamation, because many times it is required that there is a land which is either bare land or a land which has not been used for long duration, and we would like to reclaim that land for vegetation or for any other requirement, even for creating a park or whatever. So, whenever we need such requirement, I think agriculture engineers get pressed into service, and I think it is very essential for an agriculture engineer to have an idea about such machines which are available. In some of the books you may not find this particular chapter, but in some other books you will find that this is a relevant thing which as an agricultural engineer one must have a look at it. Now, well, this lecture has been divided into parts. So, part 1, the machine part 1 I will be talking today. Let us go by these slides which you have prepared for you. What is land reclamation? It is very essential to know what it is actually. Although you may find various definitions, various write-ups and all that, I have brought some write-up for you here, because once I speak and then each time you have to listen to the lecture, you would also need some sort of a material or notes which will be helpful for you for carrying things for a longer duration of time and to understand the whole concept of what this land reclamation means. Well, the actual what exactly we are trying here is the improvement of the soil condition. See, what happens is that the condition of the field may be, let us say the condition of the field may be that it is totally a stony land and a lot of bushes etc. have grown up for a long time. It has not been used either for cultivation or for something else. So, that land needs to be improved upon for a given purpose. So, how do we, what are the things that we need in reclamation? Why do we need, whether we want for farming operation or we are interested in creating a suitable building infrastructure, maybe a school or maybe anything that we can think of. So, for all this, the attempt is to make land suitable for these things. That is what land reclamation means. Sometimes you would also like that the land should be made fertile, and that also comes into land reclamation by using some sort of a chemical etc. Now, here the way of improvement of the soil condition by application of maybe hydraulic, agro-reclamatation and other measures in order to adjust the water, heat and air regime of the soil. Well, you know that the vegetation which is there or the area which has not been used for a long time will have several things which are essential to be removed for our requirement, as maybe farming or for a building structure or for any other thing. So, that means you would like to channelize certain things. You would like to channelize the water reserve which is there, or the heat and air regime of the soil. How is the condition of the soil? What sort of manipulation the soil needs to be brought to a particular level from the condition in which it is at present. Create more helpful condition for agricultural practices. Well, if you are thinking that it is for farm operations or for growing an orchard or to growing a crop, cereal crops or whatever, then you would like that you have to create a situation for that, a favorable condition you have to situate. And then when you are talking of this, you increase the fertility of the soil. By doing that, you may like to increase the fertility. Supposing we are thinking that we would like to have more of a farmland which has to be either an orchard has to be grown, or a cereal crop has to be grown, or a root crop has to be grown. Whatever may be the situation, when you are thinking of this, you are thinking of increasing the fertility of the particular land. Well, so land development for reclamation and leveling is the costliest operation in the farm. Yes, it is so, because then one thing, something which has been totally in the haywire situation, all the stones, bushes, this, that, so many things are there. You now need to clear all these things. So it's a hell of a job, and definitely everything requires some energy, and that energy in terms of the equipment energy, in terms of the cost involved in that, in terms of proper reclamation for depending upon what we want to do. So this is definitely a costly affair. But then if you have the objective, if you have the purpose for which it has to be done, we have no other alternative but then to go for such act. So what are the things that it will definitely it will like to clear the jungle which is there. If jungles of see the bushes, etc., there would like to clear that. Then soil opening of the deep tillage equipment. If you have the soil to be opened, or maybe you would like that there should be proper drainage, or you would like that the soil should be open at a certain depth, so that the whole layer of the soil is open, and then we can know what is the fertility of that, or what will be the nutrient content of that. So we would like to move that. Moving soil from high to low spots. Yeah, sometimes we would like to do this as well, that we will like to move the soil from high to low spot. Making farm roads, yes, this will be required. Field bunding and leveling, etc. So these are the various operations depending upon whether it is meant for a building or for this. So as such, land reclamation in nutshell will mean that you would like to change the existing condition of an area, irrespective of whatever is meant for, to get a you can say that congenial atmosphere of the soil, of the air, of the whole environment, for creating a particular suitable facility which will help you. Either if it is a farmland, fine, it may be for growing orchards, if it is for cereals, fine, or if it is for creating a building, maybe for a school or for any other recreation building or park, whatever. So you need to, you have an objective, and accordingly you need to do all these objectives. So this is what land reclamation means. Now once this is meaning which is understood to us, let us see what are the way by which we can do these operations which are essential for doing this. See, the various essential things which are required for this land reclamation is the machine which is required. Now what are the requirement of the machines? What do you do? As I said earlier, that you need to clear the jungles, you need to do some earthwork, maybe moving soil, because you will find that things are not labeled. So you would like to label that field, because anything that you want to do has to be in a proper way. Otherwise, the maybe that at one location, if you are talking of even irrigation, you will find that at one location the depression is more, and the other location depression is less. So the amount of water required will be varying. So in all these, we need to do some earthwork. You need to do, while clearing the jungles, earthwork by grading, leveling, and filling the land as it will be required. Then choice of machine. Now what are the, well, if these are the tasks to be done, what is the requirement for a machine to be chosen for the particular task? Well, it will depend on what is the level of vegetation which is there, what is the area to be cleared, then single multiple grade, what are the grade, maybe it is depending upon what is the condition we have to think. Then the amount of earthwork has to be needed, because you will definitely, while you are thinking of all these things, you will have to have an estimation of what is the volume of soil which has to be moved, what is the vegetation which has to be cut, where it has to be disposed of. Many things you have to think in this line. Then the steps for land reclamation includes, then if you think this, then what are the steps for? Yes, removing the vegetation, the first thing which is there, whatever may be the equipment you use, you have to remove that first, so that the land is open to you. At least you will have a look at the whole land, and then you will see what is the grade of that, what are the type of soil it is, and several things. So rough grading of this, that means maybe cut and fill sort of a situation, so that you get a level land, whatever you are thinking of. and then final grading of this. So, as such land reclamation will mean that a condition has to be improved to another condition, and then it will depend on what is the level of vegetation required, what sort of conditions we are looking for, how much of work has to be done with respect to the earth movement and things like that. And now here we have listed some of the equipment. As you can see that there are various types of equipment and machines which are available for this land reclamation. Well, as an agricultural engineer, I think it is important for you to have an idea about this, not necessarily that you go, because these machines have been developed long back and they are very much in use for all these operations. So, what is important for you is to have an idea, what are their capacity, what are their sizes, and under what conditions they are used. So, this is important for you even to have this information. It is not that you will design particular equipment and then only you can use it. So, it is worth having the information about this, certain details of this, and you can always look into the literature and get the machines from the manufacturers you require, depending upon what you want to do the operation. So, just have a look at these machines. For example, we have the bulldozers. Well, you can see that how they are, then angle dozers, depending upon what exactly you want, because sometimes you will like to move the earth from one location to another location. Tractor operated loaders there, yeah, these loaders are also required. Sometimes you require the field to be leveled. So, maybe earth has to be cut from one location and pushed to the other location. So, the front end loaders are there. The tractor mounted scraper, you would like to scrap the material maybe from one location, depending on how much scrapping you want, maybe certain depth, and then you want to scrap the material to another side or to bring to one location. Then laser guided land leveler. Now, this is one equipment which I had already discussed in my lecture, if you have gone through that, and I discussed this in detail, quite detail, about what are its operations, what are the mechanics behind it, and how it works. Here I would just like to say that this also gets added up in the land reclamation machinery, because once supposing you are talking of even a building construction and you want that the land should be level. So, you will need this machine. This has become very essential machine for actually for irrigation, because in irrigation you would like that the same amount of height of water is there in the whole field, and in order to maintain that you have to have the whole field properly leveled, and this is the equipment which has been extensively used in all over the world, and more so in Asian countries like ours and other countries in Asia. So, these are the land reclamation machinery. Very often ones, there could be small ones which we are not talking, but these are more important ones which are used for various operations. Well, what are the bulldozers and what exactly is the job that they do? Say they use for bush and hedge clearing. Yes, you can clear depending upon the condition. Yes, while we have written here that clearing, but depending upon the condition, if it is very stony, then you have to have something else before actually bulldozing the whole thing. Then the drainage trenches, the filling of the drainage trench, I think this should be filling. Rough land grading and leveling. So, you would like this to be there. Then the components, what are its components? Well, we have just noted down here their components to have an idea. Now, you see these the component, main component is the one which is the base bucket itself, which we call, if you call the scraper blade which is there, this is there. So, the earth moving devices mounted in front of the machine operated with the help of hydraulic system. This is component number one. Then the blade used to push large. So, this is the blade that is there, and mostly if you consider this, then the blade is the one which is very important component. You have the other machinery, for example, the power source. As such, the power source is connected, and since this is a large work and it requires so much of power, we have to have a hydraulic system employed into this, otherwise it is not possible. mechanically it will take a lot of load, and the total work output also will be less. Types of bulldozers, well, there are various types which are available. To just name few: crawler track mounted bulldozers, wheel tractor mounted bulldozers. So, these are the two types which are mostly used for this operation. Angle dozer, well, angle dozer, what is the job of this? How, at what angle? See, used for pushing, side casting and spreading loose soil. So, sometimes we would like that the from a corner or from a location at angle you would like to keep the material. So, this is used for that. And its components, well, the components are like similar ones fitted with the blade for adjusting the height and angle. So, since it is called the angle dozer, at certain angle needs to be maintained, and hence the blade which is there put at certain angle. You can see this in the photograph which is shown here. Blades are mounted on C frame and can be turned from direction of travel. Well, there is a C frame behind here, and these are blades are mounted on that. Well, we are not telling about every details of that, but what is important is the power, and power which we are using from the hydraulic system of the power source which is there. So, we have to have a hydraulic system which will which is being used. Tractor operated front head loader. Well, this is another one which is important, and which is very much used with the tractor, and then you would say that this is the one which is in fact relevant to an agriculture engineering, not necessarily as such, but just because tractor is there you would like to say that this is one which is a relation to that. But I would say that this is also an important one, we call head loader. See, this is used for the construction of a small demolition, light transportation of building materials, digging of holes and excavation, etc. There are various components: hydraulic lever or joystick, the control valve, bucket, hydraulic cylinder, etc. These are some of the details of that. I think we may show you the video of this. So, let us have a look at the video of this particular equipment. Yeah, you can just have a look at how the whole thing is in operation here. Well, the various other aspects of the system are, you can see here that the double acting hydraulic cylinder, we will talk of this. Then there is a sump here, this is where it is, and a lever with controls. There is a hydraulic lever with controls which are shown at the various locations. These are the cylinders which are there, and then the bucket. This is the bucket which is there, which you have seen over here. So, this is the bucket. So, as such, this is one tractor operated front head loader which is used for lifting the material, carrying the material, and then loading on trucks or wherever you want this can be done. Well, it is essential. We thought that I am not aware how much of the hydraulic knowledge you have, but I wish you would have learned something about the hydraulic system in the previous courses, or maybe your teacher might have taught you while he might have taught about the hydraulic system of tractors. But then we thought that even if you have been told, we would like to add up something to this knowledge of yours for so far as the hydraulic machinery is concerned and the machines which are used for land reclamation. Now, you see that for a hydraulic system, what do you need? We are pressurizing the oil, and we are using the this power of this oil. So, we need to have certain location where this oil will be there. You can take the power from the actual power of the tractor, but then in that case you will not be able to use that much. So, that is why a separate arrangement is made, which I had shown you in the earlier slide, the various components. So, we have here the various components, like this is the sump here. That means, in this location we put the oil. Now, this oil has to be at one location which is open to atmosphere. Then after this has to be actually a strainer. The oil which is there, it must be a clean oil which should be taken up from the sump. Once this oil is available to us, we would like to take this and use through this particular pump. A pump is there which will pump this oil from here, and then it will pressurize. So, a pressure here will be atmospheric pressure, and then here it will be a pressurized oil. Now, this pressurized oil then can be channelized for doing the job. Now, channelized for through this control valve. This is called a directional control valve. And what you do in this, in fact, this is the way you channelize the job that you want to do. For example, if you consider the job, the condition here for double acting cylinder which is here. Now, here the job is, it is called double acting. I must tell you why, because for extend, if you say this is the extend portion and then this is retract. So, extend and retract both are taking place under pressure. So, this is why it is known as double acting hydraulic cylinder, and it is essential because many times you would not like that the extend is fine, but the retract is suddenly done. So, we would not like this, and that is why for heavy load and for controlled load handling, it is very essential that double acting hydraulic cylinders are used. So, what will happen is the oil, if you can, this is the center position of the directional control valve. This is in fact a symbol for a directional control valve, we call DCV. So, this DCV, directional control valve. So, as said, this directional control valve center position shows here that the oil, pressurized oil will come here. If you are talking through this, they will come here and then pressurize this, so that the extend will take place. Now, when we are talking of the retrieve, that we are taking this portion retracting, in that situation what will happen? Then the oil has to move, it has to take this course. That means, oil has to move from here, and then it will move like this, and then the oil will pass through this, go like this, and then come back. So, this is the situation in which this system works. Now, a simple double acting cylinder hydraulic circuit has been shown to you. If you have learnt at some location, it will be easier to understand. If you have not learned, then I think you need to look for some more details of that. But as such, the components I will tell you, as I said, that the sump is essential for having the material. The cleaning of the oil must be there before it is taken. Then there is a pump here, and in fact, this pump is in fact operated by another unit, which is either an engine or a electric motor. So, this is powered by this, so that then this pump works. So, then this pump will pressurize the oil, and this pressurized oil is then either pushed through this for extend and or pushed through this for extend. These are the different three positions of the directional control valve. Since this is the JIC symbol, in fact, JIC symbol, these are the JIC symbol. This circuit is made with the JIC symbol for the various components of the hydraulic system. So, many a times what happens when the pressure is very high, then at that time, in order that we would like to save the system, there is a relief valve, pressure relief valve. This is called pressure relief valve here, PRV, which is a pressure relief valve, which is set at about 20 to 25% more than the system pressure. So, the this particular relief valve is set at this higher pressure than that, and there is no problem in the system as such. It will take care of the exigencies in load which increases. So, accordingly, then this circuit is one which is working in the loader that I have shown you earlier, and we thought worth to tell you about this, to introduce you to this particular thing, this particular system or the circuit. If you have more information, you can always ask, and we will be happy to answer this in due course of time when you require that. Some of the components of the hydraulic system, it is worth going some more details into that, although We have shown you that, but I think it is worth showing you. See, as the sump, now this is what it is. It is a container, it is properly sealed here, and then you can keep the oil depending upon how much oil you need to handle, at what pressure. So, these things are very important, and the quality of oil which has to be there, the quality of oil which has to be drained out of this. Then the pump, this is the pump, in fact this is, all these are positive displacement pumps and they work at very high pressures. So, this pump has to be used. Then pressure relief valve, yes, there is a pressure relief valve which will take care of the safety of the system, as I indicated earlier. Then the strainer here, this strainer is in connection with the sump here, because then it will clean the oil which is going, and then go to the directional control valve. That means it will go to this directional control valve here, and the directional control valve will permit the operation of this particular hydraulic cylinder, either in this direction or in this direction, depending upon what is the requirement. So, as such, a brief introduction of both the operations are given to you here, and you can understand about the system. More details can be had at any book on hydraulics. You can learn more. Well, tractor mounted scraper. Well, we had already shown you a similar thing here, and so maybe that we will show you the operation of this particular equipment. Yeah, you can have a look at this. It is being used somewhere, so you can say this. The earlier one was in front mounted, and this is a rear mounted, and you can see that how the operation is done. Just you can say that a demonstration of how it works, nothing else. Depends on you where you would require this and all that, but a demonstration of the thing which is used in the system. You can see that anywhere you can lift, because it is connected to 3-point linkage. So, you can lift it and then do the job and put the materials on one side, as it is being done in this particular situation here. Yeah, you can have a look and see this is connected to the 3-point linkage of the tractor at back. One thing one must be very clear about the capacity of the tractor or the size of the tractor when you take these, because these are heavy earth moving machinery. All reclamation machinery, heavy earth moving machinery. You have to be very careful. In fact, you have to take a very high factor of safety when you are working with these machines, particularly this the land reclamation machinery. Whether because you do not know when what may happen, what sort of loading will be suddenly coming onto the system. So, this is what it is. Well, the various you can say that the length, etc., size of this we given about 1.5 meter is the length of cut, and 7 forward and reverse angle positions which you can have through the system which is attached to this particular equipment. Well, laser guided land leveler, I said earlier as well that we have discussed in detail of this particular equipment earlier and the concept on which it works. So, it is very essential that you use this equipment whenever it is required, and some details are given as specification. I do not know whether you recall that or not. If you have not, then you must know that there is a here when we are talking of the system, there is another aspect which is at one location here, and then we see how the laser is reflected and is received. So, depending upon where it is and how you have located these, you will be able to do the job, but it does a very good job. Some details are given about the length. Generally, it varies from 2080 to 2140 millimeters. The width is about 580 to 585 millimeter, thickness about 8 to 9 millimeter, a minimum of this. And the various components, you can see the drag scraper or the bucket which is there, laser transmitter and laser receiver. You need to know about this. Then the control box which will control the system, and the hydraulic system anyway, which has been told in detail. So, as such in these couple of equipment which I told you about, land reclamation machinery, I think as an agriculture engineer, it's very important for you to have some idea about these, their specifications, their working, their availability, and their general use where they are supposed to be. Not necessarily that you will know every detail of the mechanics of that design, because that is not required, as I said earlier. What is important is the information which you should be able to gather, and which you should be able to use whenever such a situation arises for you in the requirement, as the case may be. So, I think in detail we have discussed these. We would definitely expect questions depending on what you find in this lecture, and then we will be happy to answer these questions. Thank you.